Okay, good morning, guys. Today we are going to just take some more bites of the change and we're going to massage it a little bit. Primarily, what I'm trying to do, perfectly or imperfectly, is take what we get on Tuesday, I guess, um, and take it a little further and allow you guys to kind of have a smaller space to even ask questions. And maybe and there is some really interesting stuff that bubbled up even from Tuesday, and I'll kind of share with you what I think is important. Is there's this understanding of it, like some teams were like, hey, so not everybody gets a celebration call. They have to have done their milestone post, or we don't do it, right? That was the understanding from a couple of people yesterday. And I totally get it. Like, there's a lot of stuff you can read on the app, then there's talking points, and it's like, I can't get the accurate information. Okay. So, what I want to clarify today is that most certainly everybody gets a CCC call. Okay. It's not about, oh, you don't get one because you didn't post or you're not willing to live out loud. And I think we saw that in the role playing, right? Where she's meeting them where they're at. But what I want to show you, and hopefully I can show you on here, and then we'll use my little thing. I want to kind of talk with you for about 10 minutes, and then I want you to ask me a lot of questions for the other 20. So that's why I'm kind of jumping right in. But I want to show you this information that is, so, if you're anything like me, you have this on your screen every second of the day. Because it's not memorized, that's for sure, right? So if I go back here and I'm looking at starting and supporting coaches, right? That's where you're going to find the CCC call stuff, okay? Because why? Because you're supporting a coach, okay? You can see some really basic things here. Did you have a solid explore? If you guys could put yourself on mute if you're not. Just so the recording is clean until you have a question. And then if you do, just raise your hand. Confirm you had a solid explore, help them make their share list because they're going to start reaching out to their family and friends. Okay, that's new. We used to not do that. We used to do a story on Facebook. So there's just a lot of stuff that has subtly changed our flow. Okay, in a good way, but it definitely has changed the flow of things. So as we get down here, you're going to see a client celebration outline. Okay, you can click that. And then when you open that up and you pull it, well, I hate that you can't pull it over here. I don't know if you guys have my challenge, but check this out. Okay, this is what's really cool. And I want you to think about, what are we after here? Bigger businesses, more time freedom, more balance with our family, all the things. We want to avoid burnout with coaches. Like, it's not just about this. This is from teams that are achieving that better than we did. Okay. I can tell you I have the privilege of knowing a lot of coaches that froze because they were overwhelmed. Okay. And that's not a good privilege to have, to watch really good people freeze because they're just like, this is a lot, okay? So we are trying to clear that up. Now, do you see, here we go. What coaches would want to utilize CCCs? Coaches who are developing their first 5 clients to learn more skills. Coaches that are running to ED. Your first 20 clients, your support team is with you on. We never stayed in 20 threads, guys. That's totally new. So your support team can confirm your skills and have coach glasses on to help develop your first partners. A seasoned coach. So this is who's utilizing it, that really wants to introduce a coach candidate to their support team. So if you're a seasoned coach, are you putting every CCC with Tim and I? Nope. No, we're business builders. Our role is to infuse a sponsoring culture into your business, to infuse the skills into your team, to make it the biggest focus of our stewardship, And that is not someone we need to meet with if they haven't done the 3 commits and executed them and are getting attention from them, because that's a better use of your time. So especially couples, right? So check this out. Be sure that you're utilizing the 4 steps of integration process and layering our full offer prior to the CCC. That's totally different, guys. We get on calls where they don't have a clue that they're going to pay it forward. They don't have a clue that that is what we're going to be talking about. And then we look like weirdos. Okay. So this is part of what wasn't working before, and we have to get better. Okay. So agreements on the health assessment. Now, do we know that they're going to say, oh yeah, I could do that and not do it? Yeah, we know, we totally know that. The accountability post, any coaches who really want to offer our full offer to everyone. So who should do it? Okay. Best practices. The person in your support team that is qualified and has a sponsoring mindset. Sponsoring mindset is key. That is something that you will have to take a walk with and go, how am I doing with that? How am I doing with sponsoring? How am I leading my organization with that? And do I have any room for growth, right? Do I really have a sponsoring mindset, or is that still developing? And if it is, so what? Like, don't beat yourself up if it's still developing, right? If you co-coach with your spouse, you could possibly do some of these with each other. Though the clients that you really want to move into and explore would be best done with a qualified member of your support team. That's us, okay? So potentially, as to not overtax the support team, someone on your team can do them for you. Discuss this option with your support team, okay? So these teams, they even do them for each other. Like, they want, hey, Brian, you're great. I like the way you know, I would love you to meet. Yeah, it can happen. Now, that is not us saying we're not willing to do them for you guys, but it's just what's available, okay? So then you set it up, right? And all of that done preferably on Zoom, okay? But look at, they're offering a pivot. If they're uncomfortable with video or too busy, you can do a phone call. Now, we know that we want to do it on Zoom as often as we can, okay? Confirm they've watched the video, okay? Confirm all these things, right? So it's always in your mentor's Zoom room if you're new. Here's how we do that introduction. So what I want to share with you is, it's not if they get one, it's determining who does it. Tim and I would want to see it on our calendar if you want to coach with them and if they are primed for that, okay? If not, you just keep loving on them and you keep working with them and you do it. You do the CCC call and you have your spouse do it, or a friend, or, you know, like on the team, because they need to just be loved on longer and met where they're at. Why don't you do it in Nourished? All the things that you guys heard on the video, okay? So this is a big clarification, I think, for all of us, is to, and why would you not want to overly tax your support team? Because in this world right now where, and guys, I can already feel it, like this, it changed for us, okay? We're already doing 3 and 4 coach explores a day, and we're already doing meet and greets, you guys know, because you're putting them on our calendar. And I could see why they're suggesting this, because in their world, they do a bazillion of them, okay? So they're not in a space where we used to be, where they're like, oh, it's been 5 days and I haven't done a coach explore. They've got new coaches popping off that they're training. It is a busy world. It is not like our world. And so if you don't scale your systems to be ready for that busyness, you will overly tax your support team. And then you're going to hear things from Tim and I like this: we don't have anything available until next Tuesday. And you're going to go, oh, are you kidding me? Next Tuesday, this guy had 87 likes on his post. He put me in 4 3-way text messages. I got to get them before next Tuesday. Like, you know, and now if we're meeting with a bunch of people that hadn't done their accountability post, they hadn't lived out loud, you could have handled that and we could have helped the guy that's ready now, right? So are you guys, is this making sense? Like, it did not make sense to me at first. I'll just tell you that. Like, when I heard it, I'm like, so much difference that I had to calibrate, okay? But is it calibrating for you guys? Is it making sense? The big picture of what you're backing into. Okay. So check that out when you have a minute. That was probably the biggest thing. Let me do this so that, because we're going to switch gears. But that was my hot ticket for today, was kind of making sure that that made sense to you guys. Any questions on that piece so that we don't squirrel over to another topic without hitting that? Questions, comments, aha? Yes.
Are you recording this? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I missed the first 7 minutes. Okay.
You're good. Yep. And yeah, just mainly watch the playback, but honestly, play with the client celebration outline and read it. And when you read it, I think if you're anything like me, I skimmed this sucker and I was like, oh, okay. You know, there was so much to take in that I didn't see the nuances of what they're actually setting up. Okay. So I kind of missed that. And I want to go to this now so that I really want this to be interactive. So this is that thing we were talking about the other day on, it would kind of go like this, okay? And I think I've asked Nick and Kirsten LaValle if they will help me create something like this.
Rachel, I can't see that because you're sharing your screen. Because you're too little. Is there a way for you to?
Yeah. Let me do it. Well, actually, no. Let me.
Okay, sorry. It's just hard to see. I can't see anything.
Let me see. Can you guys see it?
Very little. You're in a small box.
Now unshare your screen, Rachel, and then everybody else go to speaker view.
There we go.
Let me see here. You guys go to speaker view.
Mm-hmm.
I unshared it. Can you see better? Okay. So this is something I think would be cool to have like as a tool for our team. And what I want to put up here is health coach. Okay, so when we went to Oregon, yeah, my brains were on the floor. Okay, however, it really was simple to see that there is health coach, business builder. I think what kicks our butt as a team is we don't think in those three buckets. I know it kicked my butt. I thought everything was one thing, right? It's not. When we're thinking about working with a health coach, there are certain things that we must think about. When we think about working with a business coach, apprentice, there are certain things we need to think about, okay? When we're thinking about becoming a business builder, someone that has mastery in developing coaches, right? That is different. So if we continue to think myopically, like, well, I thought the process was this. Well, I thought that, okay, but that might be for a health coach, but then a business builder, but then you get what I'm saying. And I realized that that's a stretch because nothing made sense until I thought in those terms. And I've only been here 5.5 years. So give yourself grace, but put those buckets in your mind when you're thinking about things, because you might answer a question. That's how you'd answer it for a health coach. But then the same question, I'm like, am I talking about a business apprentice? No, then don't do that for them. Like, there is a difference. And I think that's what gets us tripped up a little bit. Okay, so health coach, right? First thing that happens is we got to have a brand, okay? We need to help them build a brand. The brand starts with their health. And you guys have heard that we always lead with our health. So if your health coaching business is not where you want it to be, start from the top. Start from the top. If your team is saying, not what I want to be seeing, start from the top. How are they branding themselves as a health coach? If they have no clients, they need to go back to being a health coach, not a business builder. There's nothing to build. What are you working on, right? You have no clients. So this part hit me like a ton of bricks when Doug Wood said that. I was like, oh my God. Okay. Something so subtle and simple. Okay. So this is key. Now, by way of doing that, here comes a jot form, because that jot form is tied to their Instagram, their Facebook, and in everything they do. Okay. So they have jot forms that are circulating in. Okay. Now that leads to a health assessment where we no longer talk about all these other things. We use the talking points script. I'll tell you what, that kicked my butt. I had to stare at it constantly and I felt like a fish out of water. But it worked like a charm. Okay. It worked better than my personality driven health assessment. Okay. So that has the 3 commits. And we get to really start changing the game. So this 3 commits, if we were in a process analysis, this might have looked like our old process, right? But the 3 commits takes us in a different direction than we did before. So it is something that needs one of these, because if we were doing process analysis, this is taking us in a different direction, having those 3 commits. We used to say, are you ready on a scale of 1 to 10? So all that. That's great. Okay. Then from here, okay, so we got the 3 commits. Now we're doing this group. Well, we got day one through something. Text, right? Your box is on the way. Da, da, da. We're using the app. We didn't used to have that. So the app is going in there now and it's telling us exactly what to say, and we're not omitting anything or modifying anything. Now we have the group JKO call on Sunday nights at 5 o'clock. And then from there, they get to do their accountability post. Okay, so we had a guy do one just recently. His box isn't even here yet, but we had him get on Sunday and we're going to have him take another dunk the following Sunday. And as a result of him being on, his name is Sonny Scott. We met him on the airplane. He already did his accountability post because they told him to. So that's different, right? That's definitely different. We've never seen that before. And so now this accountability post, he has people reaching out to Tim. So now we're fielding that before we've even started him. Okay. So from here, we have some interest that we have to work now as the coach and help with. And there's a whole thing for that. Okay. Then on day 8, now hold on, there's some things in here. Win calls, couple win calls, right? That's taking away the struggle call that we used to do, because they're getting a lot of good information from this, nothing left to misunderstanding, and then all these win calls. Then they get their day 8 video and their CCC call with a mentor. What mentor? We just covered that. Depends on what they're doing here, right? You're only putting them with a business builder if that's someone that they want to coach with and they had a big accountability post. Then they double down with their milestone post, which is here. So the milestone post is before the CCC call. Okay. So this is a lot of activity before I ever meet them. There's been a lot going on here. Okay. They should be in such, I mean, I could say so many things. How'd you love the win call? Oh my God, this and that. Yeah. Wow. I thought this was a diet, right? So everything is very verbal. By the time I get on the phone, they got a lot to say. Okay. They've been on win the day calls. They've been on a Sunday night call. They've done an accountability post. They just updated it with a milestone post. Like, this is a whole different ball of wax for me when I get on these calls. I'm blown right now. Like, when I get on the call, I'm just like, oh my God, this is a different call. This is not our 14-day call. Okay. So now we have to have a share options call, okay, to talk about, can't hold this and write, but share options call to talk about how we're going to handle all that, okay? And then from there, right, we can see the flywheel going. So 9 minutes, I'm going to stop right here. There's more on this flywheel, but I'm going to stop right here because we're really focused on the CCC call and the logistics and the change right now. What do you guys got? I see Yolanda, your hand up. I see Ashley's hand up. And anyone else want to put your hand up? We'll cover questions until 8 o'clock.
Okay, so real quick, I get it, I love it, and you know, I'm starting to implement that, you know, with the new coach and new clients. So, and I could see how that is helping. All transparency, the one mistake I have made in this new system is not scheduling their celebration call the minute we order their kit as a client, you know, like to make sure that that's in the books and on there. Because I myself have fell into the state of, you know, going to schedule it and then who do I schedule it with? And again, all transparency in my business thread, I made sure you were CC'd, Tim was CC'd, Michelle was CC'd, Dobby was CC'd, because I don't know who's going to be on what freaking call.
Yes.
Other than Coach Explore. I know it's you and Tim for Coach Explore for sure. But all the others, it's kind of like, you know, and it's been that way since I started. So it's okay. It's okay, you know, because it's been a little, you know, but I'm not the kind of person that's going to sit back and just wait for somebody to, you know, figure it out. I'm going to figure it out myself. Like, okay, I'll get in there and I'll ask the questions and who's going to be here. And that's why I tag everybody, because like,
Good.
I don't care who's there, but somebody please show up, you know, so it helps. And so that's what I want to express, not only for myself to remember, but for everybody else. Like this, I think it solves that mess up in our wheel. If we have the health assessment, we get the 3 commits, they order their meal plan kit, and we book their CCC call right there. And that's a mistake I've made. So it's my own problem that I got myself in the mess. So you know, I want to make sure that,
no, give yourself grace. You're doing great.
So
And
that's
the answers vary. They do vary. I think the thing that is going to be something to just do away with quick is the idea that these answers are not going to vary, or that there isn't going to be some contradiction, or, oh boy, if you're coming in like that, all I could say is God bless you, because like it is going to vary, and there are going to be times where it doesn't fit or this, and it's like we got to pivot. But overarching, this is the spirit of what we're trying to do to make sure that, because here's what the Compass Crew knows. If they don't get into our community at a much bigger picture, win calls, coaching,
right.
They don't finish. I told you guys, I talked to Gretchen and a few other people, and Gwen, and Gwen said, I've been coaching forever. I actually paid a company to do a study on my clientele. Those that do not coach stay healthy 6 months after she transitioned them 3% of the time. So I think we could totally get into process, but this is what I'm hyped about, and this is what I'll stay hyped about no matter what. Mission. I'm not going to lose my hype over that. That's what I'm protecting. And this is allowing that, and I'll get messy for it. It's mission. It's what we said we were going to do. We're going to get them in a safe space to make these changes, right? And they're not going to if they don't live out loud. They're not going to if they don't coach. They're not going to. They are going to relapse. Just think about your friends that have left this community. Be honest with yourself.
Right.
How do they look? How are they doing? Right? Not so good. So that's what's driving me to get messy and figure it out. Okay, Ashley, and then Michelle and Michelle.
Okay, so just to clear things up, or to confirm things. So celebration calls, if client is not like posting, if they're not on Facebook, and they're not basically, I guess, integrated in everything you're talking about, then not to schedule with our business builder coaches. But just us as coaches, like for example, again, I have one, it's that aunt. We had to cancel last week, so I scheduled with you guys tomorrow. Instead of scheduling with you guys, should I just continue to love on her, and do my thing? I just want to know for future clients coming on, if they're not fully integrated and doing their thing, then for me just to continue to love on them and not schedule a coach celebration, or should I find like another one of my coaches or somebody on the team? So is it like optional with that? I'm just kind of wanting to get really clear with that.
That is totally an option for you. If you're like, hey, Crystal, let's practice this together, and I'll practice it with one of your struggle buses, right? Or Callie, you want to practice this with me? Absolutely. With your team, you want to play with that? That's great. That's just not, we're not going to clog up our calendar for that,
Right.
because we better be in position for all this noise that's going to happen immediately, right? Because I want you guys to remember something. When they've done the milestone post and they've done the accountability post, when we do their share options call, they're ready to roll. They're like, yeah, I already bought my kit. How many of those have we had in the last week? Where I'm like, wait, what? They already bought their kit? Yeah, they saw how many people liked their accountability post. So now I've got meet and greets all over the place, right? So I am going to fail all of you if I meet with those clients and then I'm not available for the ones that you really want me on. And I think that's what our leaders figured out faster than we did.
Okay. I think that's wonderful. Honestly, I think that I see the whole point in all of that. I just wanted to make sure so that I'm not missing anyone and not giving them the opportunity or chance. But if there is a client where I'm like, I know that they're not going to coach, just they're not wanting to do any of this, and I'm just going to love on them myself. I'm not going to schedule any celebration calls with you guys because it would be pointless in a sense. So I completely understand.
And
I just wanted to make sure.
When we say love on them, okay, it's worth saying, make sure it's the script. Make sure it is by line by line by line that you are being that mentor going, hey, it's all in there. It says if they didn't do their post, right, what to say. Practice that. You guys are wanting to build big businesses or you wouldn't be on this call. You're going to need that skill. So practice it with the ones that you really can't break anything because they need that love, right? So this whole apprenticeship makes sense when you do that, okay? Michelle Offerman.
And so I'm going to piggyback on what Yolanda said. So what we need to do is like I know I don't see it in the spin wheel, like when we set up that CC call, because I personally won't set it up once a kid is ordered, because I don't know if they're going to do accountability post or any of the stuff. So is there a window that we should be looking at before day one? Like, and they've been on the JKO, they've been on some win the days. I know by day 3 or 4, at least on my new clients that I'm starting, that they've done their accountability posts and like, oh yeah, I'll do the milestone. We're already talking about, those are the ones we set up with kind of that time. Like, so that's why I want to see, like, I understand completely, because I have those clients, like, why should you guys even be on that call?
It's
when
a
we
good
should
point,
be,
Michelle, because if they get on that Sunday night call and they are like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I tell you right now, and you're going like, what? I just got your 3 commits. We just said we were doing that, right? I did a CCC call last night with someone that had never heard the 3 commits. It was already on my calendar. I did it. It was not a bust. It was a good thing, actually, but we just don't want a lot of those. And so I think with what you're saying is if they come back to you and they go, yeah, Michelle, I'm not doing that. I think it would be better to schedule them off our calendar and just say, you know what, there's been a little change. They don't know, right? They know they had a call. They don't really know whose room it's in until the day of the call, usually. So you proceed with that call and you schedule it. I like Yolanda's idea. Schedule it, right? As if it's going to happen. And then you guys can just delete stuff off our calendar and go, hey, this girl didn't do her accountability post, okay? And I'm going to love on her a little bit more before I put her on your calendar. Okay, Brian, was your hand up? Or did someone answer it?
No, it was up. My question is how do we, I don't know if it's a question or a statement. I just want to be really careful with I agree with what you're saying, and it totally makes sense to me. And I think it makes sense to everybody I'm seeing in these squares. but we're talking about making sure that this is duplicatable 6 levels down. How do we make sure that we don't have baby coaches qualifying people to coach or not coach? I just
Oh, it's
I want to
easy.
be super clear about that for,
Yeah, it's easy.
I get it. We don't
Baby
need
coach-
IPDs on a CCC for somebody that's not posting and everything else, but we also,
Baby coach Brian, you're in that business. You're in that thread. Remember, so we're in their support threads for their first 20 clients. So you're in there. You understand like what's going on. This person is amazing. I just saw this like Sheila Calvo, if she's still on here. Sheila, I'm in every one of your threads, right? Every one of them. So why? Because I'm helping to produce a 4-month ED. She doesn't have the skills yet. Like I don't expect her to. And I want to see if she goofs up, and she's super coachable in that area, right? Is like right out there. So I can tell because I'm in those threads, and then she'll say things in there like so and so. I can see that the person wrote in their thread, I'm not doing my accountability post. I don't feel comfortable with that. I've been in a couple other threads where I've seen the client flat out like, I'm not doing that. And I was on the call. Guys, we could see that. So that's how we know of what we know, right? This whole process works brilliantly. And if you move any part of it, it jacks it up. Okay. So that's the part, is that 20 threads that you're in, we're not letting go as fast as we used to. We used to let go at ED 1 month. Nope. Compass Crew's like, you better be with them ED 4 months, right? Because once you transfer the skill with that coach, whatever they do or don't do, it goes 6 layers down, to your point. So if we don't fix it with them, that's their culture now. They've established a little culture and it's going down. So that blew my mind too. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I had a little panic attack in Oregon when I thought about being in all these threads. I'm like, oh Lord, right? I feel like you guys too, where I'm like, that's a lot of threads, but I do it in structure. So Sheila might see me on a day just hamming in her threads, right? That's me with an alarm on my phone that says, go run with your runner and work with her threads and love on them and show up in there. And then I get out in about 15 minutes. So that's new, but that's how you'll know, because you'll be in, and I would readdress this with anyone that's struggling in their business and just say, I had a few coaches on here even come and say, will you go back in my threads? Can I put you in my next threads, right? Miss Michelle, you know, Michelle Offerman. I love it. She's going to FIBIC and she feels like she's got some blind spots. So she's like, hey, why don't I launch my business and put you back in my client support threads for a little bit? And we're doing it. So if we're, I mean, and this is what Terry said, and I'll close on this. I thought it was kind of cool. Someone was like, Terry, how are you? She goes, okay, hold on. How many coaches did you sponsor last month? And this was in that little room in Oregon. And they were like 2, 1, none, 3. She's like, okay, well, I don't think you're going to be overwhelmed then, you know? And then she's like, how many clients? So when you really sit with that, how many coaches are we really running with every single month, right? I wish it was a problem. It's not. So when it is a problem, and if it does become a problem, you'll have to put structure around it and emancipate those that are capable a little faster. So there's times I see something going on and I go, hey, like we just talked about this with, I forgot who it was, but we decided to emancipate them in this little area because they're capable, and we just needed to get concerted about a skill, and then that way they're off and running in that little area. Okay, so I hope this was not meant to be an exhaustive call. That's why there's one every Thursday. Come in curious, you know, open, and really figuring this stuff out for your teams, because we got to lead it from the front and build the excitement around what is going to change that's positive, right? And we already have early evidence. Like, I didn't think I would see wins this soon. I told myself not to even look for them for 8 weeks, but they're here now. So You can wait until you see your own wins, or you could jump in and the water's warm and just start going with it. So thank you guys for jumping on. I'll get this recording in Contenders and the other groups and share it with your team. If they are missing trainings, they're going to have a heck of a time catching up. So if you are a leader, I would definitely make sure you do a personal phone call to anyone you care about and just say, we got to get your Tuesday night figured out. And it's worth it because they're going to be really lost. Okay. So help them with that encouragement of why they need to be on and what's in it for them. All right. Take care, everyone.